One. Okay. Working.
You do the roll call.
Bobby Colson,
Here.
Jeff Morris,
Here.
Ronnie Collier,
Here.
Howard Phillips,
Here.
Adam Lewis.
Here.
You have a quorum, Chairman.
We're all here. The next item is notice of meetings.
This meeting's date, time, and location have been noticed on the Tennessee Auctioneer Commission's website, included as part of this year's meeting calendar since August 4th, 2014. Additionally, the agenda for this month's meeting has been posted on the Tennessee Auctioneer Commission's website since December 29th, 2014. This meeting was also noticed on tn.gov's website.
Okay, since this is the first of the year, we need to adopt Robert's rules again. So, does anybody have a motion?
I don't know what that means.
Robert's Rules of Order.
Do we have to adopt them?
Every year.
Okay. All right. Well, I move that we adopt the Robert Rules of Order for the meetings this year.
Second.
Been moved and second. Mr. Roberts, you are in order for the year.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Agenda, is that the minutes from the last meeting?
That's the agenda for today's meeting. It has been revised.
Okay.
So if whoever makes the motion, if you could state as amended.
We have a motion to adopt today's agenda.
Motion.
The second.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to adopt today's meeting agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Minutes from November the 3rd. We need to review and adopt.
That's in tab 1 if you want.
You hear a motion?
I move that we adopt the minutes from the last meeting.
Second.
Been moved in second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Education provider update, Nashville Auction School.
My understanding that they would be present today. They are not here at this time. They may. I do not have an update from them,
Well,
other than that they were going to be here.
There might have been a wreck up there at the exit. I went around this morning, so that's where they could be. Talk if they get here.
we can move them to the end.
That'll work.
Is that okay, Madam Secretary, to move them to the end?
Yes, sir.
Okay, legal report.
That's motivation enough. So we have assigned Keeling. Okay, right at 5 years then. So she is for the scrap metal dealers for Tennessee real estate.
Sounds like she has the credentials. Thank you, sir. You're ready.
Like you said, if you have questions, stop me. I'll do my best to answer them. Okay?
We're good at that.
Okay. Item number 1. Well, first I'll read this. This is new to me, too. Any consent order authorized by the Commission should be signed by respondent and returned within 30 days. If said consent order is not signed and returned within the allotted time, the matter may proceed to a formal hearing. So, item number 1, 2014-018-961, an anonymous complaint was filed that included a flyer that states in relevant part, bid night, dealers and public welcome to bring cars to sell. The flyer also included a $100 fee to buy and a $100 fee to sell, but no entry fee. The flyer states the bid night is held every Friday at respondent's business location. Respondent states that the company is not running an auction, nor do they retain an auctioneer to auction cars. Respondent states the purpose of the sale night advertised is to attract customers to make offers, and the company decides whether or not to accept the offer. Respondent advises that every offer is made in writing and is not in a competitive manner. Respondent states that the advertisement will be changed to say, "Make an offer night," to avoid confusion with the word bid. The recommendation is a consent order for $500 in violation of TCA 62-19-102.
Is he to continue running his auction without a license?
He claims it's not an auction.
Not an auction, and
He
they don't.
he is asking for a bid, so it is an auction.
I guess that he's saying that once he changes it to make an offer night, that should.
I'm not so sure I agree with him.
Right. Well,
Yeah, you know.
we could also put cease and desist language in the consent order, asking them to cease and desist.
Making a cease and desist
And if he
and
wants,
move-
excuse me, go ahead.
and I don't know, maybe even in
An automobile dealer?
Yes, he is. I know he is. I know.
Oh, of them? Okay. So he has an automobile dealer's license, and he says, just come and make offers, and but he's doing cars on consignment. Is that what we're?
Yeah, $100 to sell it, $100 fee to sell, $100.
He's not selling his own inventory. He's selling consigned cars. Sounds like an auction to me.
He in all parts is running an auction, trying to say that it's something else. Let me give you my opinion of that. I spent hard-earned days and days and days getting a public automobile auction license law so that we could sell cars to the public. This is the same thing that was going on before. It was all illegal, and now it's legal. If you're willing to go to school and waste your time, not waste your time, but spend your time for a couple of weeks and then go out to a lot of expense, you can start an auction. And I don't feel like that we should just slap this guy on the wrist and say, here, how much money do you think he may have made? How long does it take him to make $500?
Cars, or 2.5 cars.
Certainly
I don't
increase.
think a penalty's enough, and I think he needs a cease and desist.
What is the maximum penalty?
It's $1,000 a day, or probably per violation. Hold on one second, I'll look. All right, hold on one.
Does he have an auctioneer license?
No.
No, he does not. So he couldn't get a license to sell cars to the public. Correct?
Not necessarily.
Auctioneer license.
You have to start over. Apprentice auctioneer, then get that.
Oh, yes. Yeah, it's 0.
I move that we
There a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? How will you know that he quits doing this? Could we attach a note that an investigator go check and see if he's stopped?
Yeah, we can just have an investigator go out and check. We'll just do an investigation.
I'm not so sure that the Automobile Commission might not ought to be made aware of this too. I don't think they would like this.
Is there anything specific about having the investigator go out? Is there a certain time that you think would be?
Friday night.
Yeah, on a Friday night in a couple of weeks, probably,
Okay,
after he receives his notice.
okay.
You'll still need to call for the vote.
Yeah, I was having discussion.
Oh.
All in favor, say,
The motion's been
that-
changed, so
motion's been changed.
yes, you're adding the forward to MVC and the investigation to it. So we, Colson and Mr. Collier, if Mr.
Mr.
Colson wants
Colson,
to
you
I
want-
move that
amend
we,
as amended.
yes, as amended.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Ready for item 2?
You're up.
Item number 2, 2014-019951. Complaint was filed by a buyer who attended respondent's auction. Complainant states that while bidding on lawnmowers, it was discovered that complainant was bidding against the owner of the lawnmower. Complainant states that respondent's owner acknowledged that the seller was bidding on the lawnmowers and the owner had a reserve on the mowers. Complainant further states that complainant's spouse bid against a phantom bidder, and when respondent could not find the phantom bidder, respondent allowed complainant's spouse to purchase it at the last bid. Respondent denies knowledge of the complainant, stating that people move around a lot during bidding, and respondent does not know how complainant knows who owns what at the auction. Respondent states that when complainant approached respondent thought complainant was asking about the current bid being called. Respondent states that particular mower had a reserve on it and it was called as a no sale. Respondent states that respondent does not advertise as an absolute auction. Respondent further states that the floor help notified respondent that complainant was discussing 3 other lawnmowers which sold for $130 each to somebody who owns an engine repair shop. Respondent further states that the phantom bid is a false claim and complainant is mistaken. Complainant states that 99% of the merchandise is on consignment and respondent does not run a bid up. Respondent tries to make everyone happy and is sorry that complainant feels wrong. The recommendation is to dismiss.
I think the main question there is, was it advertised as an absolute auction or not? And if it was not, then they have the right to put a reserve on it.
Thought it said something about it was not advertised as the absolute auction, maybe.
What can bid on a reserve auction?
I mean, respondent says it wasn't, but.
It was advertised just as an auction. Okay.
I move to go with legal's recommendation.
Been moved in second. All in favor, aye. Aye.
Item 3, 2014-018-711. Complainant states that an auction was advertised to auction off 6 storage units at 2 separate locations, and complainant bought 2 of the units. Complainant states that respondent advised that respondent did not need an auctioneer license in state. Complainant states the auctions were verbally called for and bids accepted, and states that the advertisement did not include license information. Complainant provided a copy of the advertisement on the website. It appears from documents provided that respondent conducts most auctions in another state. Respondent states that the company operates out of another state and acknowledges that respondent does not hold a Tennessee license and was not aware respondent needed one to conduct storage auctions. It is respondent's understanding that storage auctions are considered lien sales and ordered by state law and were exempt from licensing requirements. Respondent states that if advised, respondent will make the necessary arrangements to become licensed in Tennessee and apologizes for the misunderstanding. Recommendation is for a consent order for $500 in violation of TCA 6219-102.
Well, you know, since they started having the movie about storage auctions, it's gone viral. And most of the time, the owners of the storage company conduct the auction themselves. They send and get permission from the state to sell locker so-and-so, and that is fine. Under this, where you've got an out-of-state person doing it, I agree with your recommendation. I think your fine's a little low, but do I have a motion?
I move to go with legal's recommendation.
Second.
Been moved in second to accept legal's recommendation. All in
Well, I mean, you might add a letter of instruction with that. You know, of course, he says he's going to get licensed, but
Well, it takes him 2 years to get a license. He's going to have to get somebody else to do his sale that's got a license, correct? He can't do any more of those auctions until he gets a Tennessee. Well, if he's licensed in another state,
right, right.
he needs to get a
could
Tennessee
potentially,
auctioneer
if
license.
advised.
It needs to get a reciprocal license or whatever.
If he's in a reciprocal state.
Right. I'd add that to the. Now I move.
Second.
Been moved in second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Good.
Or 2014-017-891. Complainant alleges that a $2.50 1861 gold piece and an 18-karat gold ring purchased at respondent's gallery turned out to be counterfeit. Complainant states complainant attempted to resolve the situation numerous times, but respondent refuses to refund money or identify the seller. Complainant states that after requesting a refund, respondent posted signs stating sales are as is, there are no guarantees, and all sales are final. Complainant provided a copy of the receipts and a letter from a pawn shop stating the acid tests were performed on the gold coin and the item does not have any kind of gold in it. The letter further states that the ring is heavy gold. I don't even know what it says.
Electroplated.
Never even seen that word before. And not solid gold. Complainant also provided a similar statement from a coin company. Respondent states the store's policy has always been that all items are sold as is, no guarantees, and all sales are final. And there have been signs posted in plain sight since respondent's owner bought the gallery in 2012. Respondent states that the items were displayed for inspection for prospective buyers. Respondent states that complainant was told to examine and purchase at complainant's discretion. Respondent states that complainant was threatening when requesting a refund. Respondent further states that respondent spoke to the consigners who stated that purchased the items at an auction under the same as-is conditions. Respondent did not reveal the names of the consigners to act in their best interest, and it is not respondent's policy to disclose consigners' names. Respondent further states that complainant is slandering the gallery and included a Facebook post. Respondent further states that a letter was sent by an attorney on behalf of complainant, and respondent replied promptly. Respondent further states that a police officer investigated the incident, did not find cause of action, and dropped the charges. Respondent further states that complainant was irregular and often boasted how well complainant did with purchases, and respondent apologizes that complainant is unhappy with the 2 purchases. Respondent included pictures of complainant with the as-is sign in the background, attorney correspondent, a copy of the Facebook post, and a terms of sale card. Complainant submitted additional information denying that complainant was told there was no guarantee, and once again stating that the signs were put up after the incident. Complainant states that the receipts clearly state the items are gold, and the regular auctioneer has always stated before an auction starts that if something is misrepresented, the buyer will receive a refund. Complainant further states that the terms of sale card was never given to buyers because the system is electronic. Recommendation is to dismiss.
I probably sell as many gold coins and items as any auction around. You absolutely cannot sell counterfeit coins and not give refunds and stay in business, number one. Number two is, this is what gives the auctioneers black eyes. Personally, I don't agree with the dismiss. Is there a discussion?
And I don't know how to find this out, or if there's a way we can find this out. Regardless of as is and all that, how was it represented when it was sold? Yeah, you know, as is one thing, but if you represent something to be something and then it's not, I'm not so sure as is covers that. You see what I'm saying?
Well,
I don't know if there's any audio tape of the sale or not.
I thought she said that it was advertised.
There was something at the end there. It said that the complainant submitted this. So complainant states that the receipt clearly states the items are gold, and the regular auctioneer is always stated before auction starts that if something is misrepresented, the buyer will receive a refund. I think the issues here was it misrepresented or not.
Why don't we get more information on this?
I'd like to. I mean, it could be a situation where you got somebody that gave $100 for something he thought was worth $10,000 and ought to know better. But then it might be a situation where they said it was something that was gold and misrepresented.
I know a lot of auctioneers audio tape their auctions, and I don't know if this one does or not, or if the complainant could even state how it was presented to him.
Yeah, I'd like to know
if we could find out from the complainant.
Advertising, something.
You know, how it was advertised or how it was presented, even when he's standing up there selling it.
Yeah, hold on 1 second. I'm going to look and see if that. The bill of sale is the only thing that we have as proof, and it does say gold on the bill of.
Is what on the bill of sale?
When you say bill of sale,
Invoice.
What I know is
Invoice.
about-
Receipt.
Yes,
Receipt,
it says
yeah, okay.
$2.50 gold piece, 1861, and then it has the price.
How much did he pay for it?
It appears to be $225.
And it was an 1861 $1 gold piece,
$2.50.
$2.50 gold piece. That's not real far off from the value of it. Well, then he said it was gold on his receipt.
Okay.
So he got like
Assignment.
Yeah, that kind of changes things, I think. Yeah, I mean, you're
part of it.
Yeah, if you went to the sale, this.
Well, I mean, if I see a sign that
says.
says as is, it's as is. I mean, that's how I see it as a consumer, but I see what you're saying too. It sounds like you have best practices in place. I think it was mentioned that you test everything. This was a consignment. You know, are they required to test?
No.
You're not required to
If the
test
auction-
it.
If,
you
even
can't-
though
but
it's
you can't
as is, if
represent
the
it as
auctioneer
being-
got up there and said this is 18 karat gold,
Right.
you're gonna expect it to be 18 karat gold, aren't you? I mean,
Or if he says this is a Mercedes and you buy it and it's a Ford.
Right.
Yeah.
What are the
I've had your
options
models
for?
cost me a bunch.
What are the options? Is it a fine? I guess everything's a fine.
Well, I thought we were going to find out more about this. I would like to know. I'd like to see his advertising, and I would like,
To find out if there was any audio.
yes,
And what the complainant was told at the auction, what he remembers being told at the auction, how it was presented.
As a consumer, I want what I paid for.
Right, exactly.
And
Regardless of
if
what
I'm
it
told
says.
this is a gold coin, and you sell me a gold coin, and you didn't do due diligence to assure that it's a gold coin, but I find out, yeah, I want my money back.
well, there's a lot of ways that you can look at this. I made my living doing auctions, and so is everybody else up here. And I've got about 15 people that are dependent on a check every week, and you don't go around selling gold coins and them not be gold and stay in business.
Just so you know, I think that the sale was in July of 2013, so it may be kind of difficult to get this.
Well, if he advertised,
Was it a weekly type sale or?
how long we had the complaint?
2014? Yeah. So it's this year.
Right. Well,
We know if it was a weekly type sale or was it a?
It It doesn't say.
Got the invoice saying it was a gold, right?
And it says, the complaint says I purchased a $1861 gold piece, which subsequently turned out to be.
Was the ring also counterfeit? Gold piece and
Yes.
Both
okay.
of them were.
It was gold plated.
How much was that? How much did they pay for that? Good
Oh no,
deal
I
for
let
an
some
18
slip through sometimes, Ronnie.
Huh?
We let some slip through real
I
cheap.
wouldn't let one like that slip through.
I just thought they were getting a good deal.
The main thing was a gold.
Well, does it take 6 months to get a complaint processed? 7 months?
It depends on, I mean, yeah, sometimes it depends on how much, information that you have to try to get, and sometimes it just takes
How long
time.
they respond?
Sometimes they respond and that brings up something else, and then you have to dig further. So there are, times.
Well, this is something that's near and dear to my heart, and I am very not satisfied with what we've said so far. I don't think that we should take this selling counterfeit gold dollars lightly.
We've had it since they had it. It may take a long time to get this stuff back. I move that we find, and this is a gallery license, right? It says up here, okay, that kind of tells me it's probably a weekly type deal.
Excuse me. He also said the normal auctioneer.
Yeah, that kind of confused me.
Who was, do you have the person's name who was doing the auction at this time? He should be fine.
Doesn't matter what the sign says.
It doesn't appear that they provided the name of who was conducting the auction.
Yeah, I don't see it any.
Oh, and be interesting to know if he had any or she had any complaint.
Well, the auctioneer is just as responsible as the gallery owner. The one thing that I'm like Howard, that sort of galls you is that in these auctioneers that try to hide behind the as-is language. I mean, I know what as-is, and you cannot hide behind that and misrepresent and say, well, you know, this looks gold, but it, you know, if he said it may be painted gold, and you know that might have got him off of it, but we don't know that. But I'm like Howard, like if we could find out how that coin was presented to the complainant, whether they represented as being an 1861 $2.50 gold piece, and they sold it as a $2.50 gold piece, and they, you know, then that's a different story. Other than here's a coin that's painted gold and it's got 1861 on it, I have no idea whether it's 1861 or not. That's a different presentation. You know, then you can say as is. You know, if you want to have it checked, but that apparently that wasn't done. And the auctioneer is responsible as the gallery owner, and there should be two complaints. The auctioneer is just as responsible.
Amen, brother.
So I would like to amend the motion that, or maybe not even make a motion on this case right now. I'm like Howard, get more information. If we could find out, number one, how it was presented to the complainant, who the auctioneer was, and is there an audio available of that or video, any kind of evidence of how it was presented, and then bring it back before this board so that we can consider what to do once we have all the information. That would be my motion.
It's just like if one of you three ladies sitting on the front right there bought this gold piece at the auction for your husband, and you give it to him and you find out it's counterfeit. What do you want to do? You want to choke him, sue him, or shoot him? You know, it's a very unpleasant situation for the customer, and our purpose is to protect the public, and we need to do more on this one. What was your motion, sir?
Mine was that we find out more information about the circumstances surrounding the sale of this coin, and who the auctioneer was, and how it was presented to the complainant, and defer any action until we have all that information.
I'll second.
Been moved in second. All in favor say aye.
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 Okay. Item 5, 2014022081. Complaint was filed stating that respondent was operating under an expired license. Respondent states that respondent recently moved and did not receive the commission's renewal paperwork, but renewed respondent's license after receipt of the complaint, which was sent on 9/8/2014. Gallery license expired on March 17th, 2014, and was renewed. Also appears that respondent advertised for an auction to take place on September 4th. Recommendation is consent order for $500 in violation of TCA 6219-125.
Fairly cut and dried. The dog ate my homework excuse doesn't work. Everybody knows when their license expires, and they don't need to rely on the commission to send them renewal paperwork for that. So I agree with the consent order, and I've moved that we accept legal's recommendation and do so.
Second.
Second.
It's been moved in second to accept legal's recommendation. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Item 6, 2014022099.
Hey, could I ask a question about that?
Sure.
He can't renew his license until he pays the $500 fine, right?
It's already been renewed.
He's already renewed?
Right. He renewed. He just
if he
renewed
doesn't
a
pay
little
the
later
fine,
than
he
what
can
we
lose
might
his
have hoped.
Right,
license.
okay. You can.
Item
Sorry.
6. No, you're fine. 2014022091. A complaint was filed stating that respondent, auction house, and auctioneers are operating without a license. An investigation was requested which produced pictures of the auction facility and multiple signs on the property. One sign states, horses for sale or trade. Another states, general consignment auction Friday night at 6 p.m. And the main company sign lists the company name and consignment and auction. Further, the company is a registered LLC and is in possession of a business license. It appears that respondent advertised online for auctions dated October 24th, October 31st, November 7th, November 14th, November 21st, and November 28th. The advertisement displays respondent's name, then lists a second company name, which appears to be a licensed auction firm. Respondent's owner submitted a response stating a different individual, unlicensed auctioneer 1, rents the building on Friday nights to supposedly auction goods for a nonprofit organization. Respondent states that this individual was auctioning items for persons in need of medical, funeral, or accident-related items. Respondent learned that the unlicensed auctioneer 1 was not doing as told and states that the unlicensed auctioneer 1 was asked not to return. Respondent further states that the unlicensed auctioneer 1 produced bad checks and issued stop payments on checks paid to respondent. And second investigation was conducted, which yielded the following information. Respondent submitted an application for a gallery license on November 25th, 2014. The investigator observed an auction sale on November 14th, 2014. The auctioneer holding the auction, unlicensed auctioneer 2, held an apprentice auctioneer's license but was revoked in August 2006. The unlicensed auctioneer 2 stated that his uncle, a licensed auctioneer who owns the aforementioned licensed auction firm, was scheduled to call the auction but was sick. Respondent's owner stated that respondent obtained a USDA designation as a livestock auction site and alleged that the USDA representative contacted the commission, who advised a license was not necessary. The investigator contacted the USDA representative, who was not aware that respondent intended to engage in merchandise or consignment auctions, and conversations with respondent were related to the operation of a livestock auction. Respondent's owner states that consignment auctions began June 6, 2014 through July 11, 2014, until the unlicensed auctioneer 1 took over the auctions through October 3, 2014, at which time respondent resumed auctions and has continued to operate since. Respondent's owner states that the licensed auctioneer called the auctions with the exception of the unlicensed auctioneer 2, who called on November 7th and November 14th, 2014. Respondent provided copies of auction sales and bidder records for the auctions conducted. The investigator attempted to interview unlicensed auctioneer 1, who evaded an interview, but the investigator interviewed nonprofit auctions. The investigator was unable to locate information regarding the nonprofit organization and was unable to determine if it is qualified as a 501c3. The recommendation is for a consent order for $1,000 in violation of TCA 6219-102.
Qualifies as a 501c3. If you're in the business of doing it, you need to be in the bit, or don't you, Jeff? I mean, if you're in the business of selling stuff,
Some of them are actually charity. This
You don't even know where to start on this one.
yeah, I'm
this is
telling you,
this
would
this
get
is
you
this one
mad.
is a very confusing one. My opinion is, from the sounds of it, if you get this $1,000, you're going to be lucky without having them come down. I don't know what you can do. What do you think?
I can't make heads or tails out of it. It's
So we've got a gallery, and then we've got
two auctioneers that are unlicensed.
Well, the gallery is in violation because he's hiring unlicensed.
Yeah, but he's not doing. He's not just
doing it, and
You can't sell tacked stuff at a livestock auction without an auctioneer license. He wasn't selling horses. If he'd been selling horses and cows, that's true.
I
but
think he
wasn't.
tried to make them think he was, but
Yeah,
he
sign
really
it.
wasn't.
I believe he had a sign up that said horses, but
Even the USDA guy wasn't aware of it that talked to him, you know, it's, ooh.
I think we need to do whatever we can to shut them down and fine them. I don't know how you do that, but they're operating completely outside the law.
they do have a gallery license. That they do not have a gallery license. They have no
Unlicensed.
license.
I believe they applied for.
The gentleman who has applied for his license, he is taking the class and he's attempting to pass the exam.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you
The
said.
gallery owner is in the process of
He's
trying
applied
to.
for a
He's trying
license.
to get a license for a gallery.
Well, if he's been operating an illegal gallery license, does he qualify to get a license?
If he
Still doing the sales now?
Won't bet against it, but
I don't believe so, but I don't know for sure.
Not that we can tell, but I guess we wouldn't be able to say.
Yeah.
for sure.
but on the application somewhere does it say, have you ever operated? It says nothing about not auction without a license or something.
I don't believe so.
Well, it should. What do you think, guys?
I think you got to somehow make sure they're not operating. If they are operating, stop them. Make sure they're coming under the law. They do have to get licensed, but he's got to have a licensed auctioneer, and he's got to operate under the auctioneer. You know. I would.
He's gone to the
you
class.
make sure. I don't know what you do in terms of just making sure they stop.
That we
And you know, the
Probably
Attorney General's
should.
office, you can get them for operating, you know, without a license or not. Or whether,
Sheriff's Department.
or if there's, I don't know what the extent of the state law.
I can tell you the Attorney General's office has told us straightforward that in order
Right.
they told us that straightforward. That's just the efficiency of and the economy of their own.
That makes sense that they said that.
Well, whatever the maximum fine is, I think we ought to fine them and send a stop what you're doing order, cease and desist, and
Well, he just
and see if there's a way to get them in front of us for a formal hearing so that we can issue a civil penalty.
maximum fine is 1,000. I'm assuming, if I'm not incorrect, that they could do it per day.
and per auctioneer. You had 3 auctioneers, didn't you?
They got certain dates here. They got 4 or 5 dates here that they did auctions on.
Each one.
Do $1,000 per auction. We could do that.
Right, that's what you're saying, right?
Yeah, per
Okay.
per auction date.
Okay. I mean,
And make them become aware of what the law is
Are you putting this in the motion, sir?
in a minute.
Okay.
As soon as I figure out what we can do.
What I'm gonna say.
well, that would bring it up to 6,000 instead
All right,
of.
my motion
Okay.
is to do $1,000 per auction date, a total of $6,000, and to make them aware of the auction law and to do a cease and desist on any auctions until they become fully licensed as a gallery and have a licensed auctioneer to hold the sales, and explain to them that they cannot hide behind the USDA livestock law auction and sell tack or any other personal goods. It's a livestock only. And also they can't hide behind the charity auction law of doing just charity work. They got to prove that they're doing charity auctions. That's my motion. Well, I mean, that'll get them here. They can either pay the fine or come and say we want a formal hearing.
Right. I mean, the only thing
They can say we don't want to pay the fine. We
Right.
say, well, we want you down here for a formal hearing in
if they
front of
pay
the
the
commission.
fine, then they pay. If they pay the civil penalty, then they just pay it.
Right.
But I mean, we can't bring them here unless they
Don't pay it.
neglect to
Right,
pay the
exactly.
$6,000, and then at that point, after 30
But
days,
that's the
have
point
run-
of making the fine as large as I can,
Correct.
so that I can get them in front of here to have a formal hearing on what they were doing.
Right.
We have a motion, a second. I'm not going to attempt to tell you what the motion was, but it was good. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
That was
Did
a
you
good one.
get all that,
I
Karen?
got
down?
it. Yep.
It's on video. We can go back and listen to it again.
Good.
Okay. Item 7, 2014024491. Complaint was filed alleging that respondent's website stated they pay referrals in violation of Rule 0160-01.02, which states it is unlawful to rebate any part of his commission to any person or persons not holding a license. A copy of the website was provided, which states respondent pays referrals to individuals who provide auction leads. Anyone who brings a seller to our attention will receive a 20% referral once the property sells. Respondent sent a response stating that respondent has never paid a referral to any unlicensed individual for any activity regulated by the commission. Respondent states that many referrals have been paid to unlicensed individuals for information or introductions resulted in timed sales or internet-only auctions, which are exempted under TCA 6219-1039, stating the provisions of this chapter do not apply to any fixed price or timed listings that allow bidding on an internet website, but that do not constitute a simulcast of a live auction. Respondent states that respondent has made preparations to cease providing referrals in timed sales or internet-only auctions with extended bidding pending the new proposed rules. Respondent states respondent currently operates and will continue to operate in full compliance with the laws and rules regulated by the commission. The recommendation is to dismiss.
Is this for personal property or real property?
Personal property, I believe, wasn't it? Do you have any advertising? They send any advertising in?
But if it's real estate, they got a real problem because the real estate commission's going to get involved.
Was this advertised on, how did they advertise this? To get referrals? Mhm.
Specify if it's personal property or real estate.
They say it's real estate.
It just says it's a commercial building.
What does it say about paying referrals? Is that what it is?
Respondent pays referrals to individuals who provide auction leads. Referral once the property sells. Maybe you know of a business that is relocating or is closing. Perhaps you have a friend who is downsizing or moving to a new residence. An auction managed by a respondent can be an excellent way to convert assets into cash quickly and efficiently.
Sounds like real estate to me.
It's referring
So what does the law say about an auctioneer offering referral fees to a non-licensed person?
Let's see.
That's right. We know the answer. I was just asking the question so we could have it on record.
And read what the rule states if you want to put that on the record.
There we go.
Okay. It shall be unlawful for any person licensed under the provision of this act to rebate any part of his commission to any person or persons not holding real estate license or apprentice auctioneer license or auctioneer license. But he's claiming that because
Then why should we dismiss this?
sales, internet only exempt. Because he's saying that they're exempted under 6219.
Yeah, I think that rule right there does not coincide with the statute.
But we're saying, but they're saying these are extended time biddings or not?
Well, if they're real estate, they extend. Do you agree with their argument, sir?
I think it's going to depend mainly on on that one piece of property on that one website auctioning that off.
Let me ask you this then. If we go ahead and dismiss this, and I'm not arguing not to dismiss it, I'm just making my case. So can I go home this afternoon and set me a web page up, and I am going to pay referrals to people who bring me auctions?
Only if they're internet only. They're hiding behind the internet only provision of the law.
No, I think in your hypothetical, you would put it on a general web page, your general auctioning web page. Which kind of says I'm not really sure if I agree with our recommendation right now.
That's fine too.
That's kind of
What I would like to do, and I'm speaking for me, not the rest of the commission. We'll see what they want to do. I'd like more information about this. I'd like to know if these were online sales and if they had a definite time ending, or if they were extended. If they were extended, then that does away with this law. If you extend it for 1 minute. And most real estate sales that I watch online are extended as long as the person bids. It extends for another minute, which takes away the internet auction.
I agree with your assessment, trying to understand more about what's really going on. I mean, we don't really have enough information to dismiss or make any action at this point in time. If we could find out how long it's been going on, how long they've been doing this, where do they advertise this referral fee, and have they are they still doing it?
Any auction leads. For any auction lead.
Did y'all go to the website and look?
You said you thought it was just like for this one particular auction, but the way the complaint says, it's for any auction lead you bring.
Who filed a complaint? That's what I'd like to know.
Mm-hmm.
Advertisement that we have a copy of.
And what was the complaint's involvement in this deal? They involved in the transaction at all, or just somebody noticed it and filed a complaint?
I think somebody just noticed it and filed.
Doesn't apply to his homepage, even if he only said.
Of course, what we're talking about.
I'm more inclined just to roll the dice and say that we're.
I agree with you 100%, sir.
I think it's really difficult in that they do make an.
Well, I don't know whether he gave one referral or 1,000 referrals, but it's a, and I know this has nothing to do with the law, but we know that it's wrong to offer referrals or offer bribes. And I don't understand if you've got an auctioneer's license and you're offering referrals, whether it's an internet auction or a horse auction, to me, you're offering referrals to gain an advantage over others.
If this is the only.
Right.
I think we.
Might be a good trial to for us to know for ourselves. I mean, if you can do it on internet auctions, I mean, every person here does internet auctions. We could all do that. I don't agree with it. I don't want to do it because I think it's not right. But I'll do whatever the commission wants to do.
Would you tell me where you come down on this again?
Oh, I think we can make a strong argument.
For internet-only auction?
Internet-only auctions that he has put this on his website, and he has not. Auctions and do houses, but that's not specified right there. I would say that the better read.
But
I'm
you
ready to make my motion.
you don't have to have any kind of license to sell real estate in
Internet only.
Tennessee on the internet.
Yeah, on the internet, this.
You don't have to have an auction license. You have to have a real estate license.
I said any license.
Sorry, I'm trying to keep up with how many licenses that would be. You would have to have.
You got to have a real estate license to sell others real estate, no matter how you sell it.
I just
They
want
don't
to
have.
point.
They don't have the same exception.
You do not have to have an auctioneer's license if you do internet only.
Does
In other
this
words, you
person
can-
have
you
a
can
real
hope-
estate license? Oh, you don't know where they have a.
My motion is that we issue them a $500 fine, and that give them a letter of instruction on when they can and cannot use, hide behind the internet-only provision of the auction law, keeping in mind that it's also unlawful. Now, I'm not trying to speak for the Real Estate Commission, but they have to have, you cannot pay commissions as such to unlicensed real estate people. You can't just give it to Joe or Mary that doesn't have a real estate license at all, and that paying commissions of any kind to unlicensed real estate people is against the that's another commission. But from our standpoint, they're paying commissions, and it's unlawful, and cite the code where it says it's unlawful to pay those commissions to anybody, especially for it's really not just internet only. They're advertising generally to, bring us an auction and we'll sell it and pay you a commission. That their advertising was too broad and too general to be considered internet only. Is that clear as mud?
Did you read that motion, please? You find it. The motion was $500 fine and
a letter of instruction about the law as it applies.
I hear a second.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
It's never easy.
That concludes the legal report.
Since I can say one more thing about would you in the meantime go back if in your spare time and look at some of his internet ads and see if you have any other conclusion? And
Late.
what is
You owe us $25.
We've got the complaint comparison report next, tab 3, but I can't get my tab 3 to come up. There. Man, I'm gonna tell you what, electricity and you'll be alive.
Actually, I got a pair of gloves for Christmas that you can use.
They will.
I meant to bring them today.
It's all in you, Bobby. It's all in you.
Well, our big cases have fallen off our report here, it looks like.
This is I find this the relevant information for what we have going on right now and where we're at with our current performance measure. I'll be happy to present any information. Those cases, the big, large, that are in litigation monitor, I misspoke, they are still open.
Right.
We're still awaiting.
But we took them off this report.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's even better. And then we took care of 7 of these today, is that right?
Yes, sir.
All right, so so we got 28 more to go.
We discussed 7 of them. I think 5 of them actually will come off or change status. That's 96.67% is where we stand with the performance measure.
In that 6-month window, Howard, that they're talking about.
Yes, sir. Okay, moving right along.
On tab 4, I have some budget information, just your usual revenues and expenses. And I've also included the auctioneer recovery fund is on the 3rd page or 4th page.
I know, I'm not beating it.
Beat on it.
I'm not beating it.
Let Bobby do it.
Bring it special gloves.
It's a little hard to read.
Just tell us what it is and we'll go.
It shows you have expenditures of a little over 38,000 and you have revenues of 101,000. So
That's good.
that is good.
We're in the black. That it?
It was just information.
Thank you.
Need a motion or anything?
No, sir. No information. Or no motion needed. If we're ready, we can move on to tab 5.
W. Fleischner.
Yes. And this is actually a represent from the prior meeting. The commission requested some additional. Mr. Filsner's application was deferred at the prior meeting due to the commission requesting additional information about his current licensure in other states as well as his disciplinary history. I spoke with Wisconsin, and the only discipline is the original discipline, which is why his application was being presented.
Can't hear you.
Sorry. This was the gentleman whose license was suspended in Wisconsin for failing to include on his original application. We did find that he is also licensed in Indiana, and there is not any disciplinary history there. Everything came back clear. He's also licensed in the state of Illinois. I spoke with them, and he does not have any discipline in that state either. He also has a Texas license, but that license is expired. So.
So this is one we've looked at before?
Yes, you
What
looked
was our
at.
questions about it before?
The question was his other state licensure and if he had had any additional discipline. He was disciplined. His license was suspended for a period in 2000, I believe.
He had quite a few complaints. Well, at least 4 complaints, it looks like.
He had, I'm sorry?
It looks like he had 4 complaints that he had to give some additional information about.
4 complaints. He had the one, there was an investigation that was opened. And he had, it was, I don't know, 70 some odd detailed items, but it was all out of Wisconsin.
I'm just looking at this letter dated September the 11th, 2014 from the Auction Division in Springfield, Illinois. So there's a summary of the complaints filed against Badger, Auctioneers, and/or Ted Fleischner in the state of Wisconsin. So 1 complaint pertaining to the retainment of the buyer's premium. 2nd complaint pertaining to the purchase of a cooler and the bid price. 3rd complaint was pertaining to catalog items, manager approval versus owner's list. And a complaint from 97 regarding information not included on the original application.
Yes, and that was all rolled up into the one investigative report that's at the end, where he responded.
It says he was judgment of conviction and sentenced to the county jail. Is that right?
And this is what he failed to include on his application. It wasn't a problem, and then later they opened a complaint against him, and he served.
He wants a Tennessee auctioneer's license. And how is he planning on just doing foreign sales in the state, or what's he planning on doing? Does he have it? We know.
I don't have any information about. There's a
Tennessee firm.
Badger is the firm. Yes, they are licensed. His wife is also licensed in the state.
She is licensed in Tennessee.
Reciprocal.
Okay. I don't know how we turn him down. You gotta have cause.
Back current everywhere now. I mean, he's
Yes,
done his
I don't
time,
believe in
so to speak.
the other states did not report any disciplinary history. Texas, he is expired, but that is his choice not to renew his Texas license. I did not inquire as to why he did not renew the Texas license.
All right. What about it? Ronnie, you have a motion? Bobby?
We think, Jeff.
I don't see how you turn him down.
No, I don't. I guess we.
I mean, I guess we would approve it with a watchful eye.
This information will be included in his licensing file, so if there were ever a complaint filed against, we would have the information.
I would make a motion that we approve his application with the watchful eye.
Is there a second without a watchful eye?
I'll second.
Bobby seconds. All in favor, aye.
I say aye.
We welcome another auctioneer to the great state of Tennessee.
I don't know how you. Again, I don't know how you.
Need about a 10-minute bathroom break.
We're going to take a 5-minute break.
Well, I said I went for 10, got 5, so I did good.
Yeah.
What you got hid back there?
That's
Watermelon?
No.
No, she back there turning the. She
Turn
back
the
there
video
turning the
back
video
on.
back on.
Let's go, Howard.
We're ready.
Okay.
Number 6.
Tab 6. This is an application, a reciprocal application from Florida. And the gentleman disclosed on his application that he was on 1-year probation for false statement on his Florida application. Applications, I prefer to present them to the board for the board to make the decision. I have spoken.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
You go ahead. If I shut up, you'll probably answer my question. I won't have to ask it.
Okay. I have spoken with Florida and North Carolina. His license is active in both, and there has been no other discipline on his license since then.
Well, the 1-year probation was that he had his license, and then but he was on probation for 1 year. They made him wait 1 year to get him.
I think it was after his licensure, and it was discovered that there was an omission on his application, so they put him on probation.
According to this, the incident happened in 1998, and that they disposed of this in December of 2000. Is that right?
Yes, that sounds correct. I believe the actual, I'm trying to find my note from,
License.
actually in an email. It stems from a conviction that he received while in the military in the 80s.
Oh, okay.
It was just not disclosed on the application.
I got you.
Well, he's been working somewhere for 22 years, doing an auction.
I move we approve.
Been moved to approve, second.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Welcome to Tennessee.
Tab 7. You got an out-of-state apprentice.
Yes. And this is actually,
I've done it the last 3 times.
Doesn't matter where you are. Just tap it and it'll give you the menu up there.
I'm on a roll.
We're ready.
tab 7 is a represent from last meeting. This gentleman is wanting to come into the state of Tennessee. He's coming in as an apprentice, but he lives in the state of Oklahoma, and he is wanting to apprentice with a auctioneer here in Tennessee. And the commission asked for additional information about how he planned to obtain his hours, and this is the letter from Mr. Shelley related to how he plans to obtain his apprenticeship hours.
Mike Jones.
Out of state.
Mike Jones is a Texas auctioneer. He's pretty prominent. And a good guy. I mean, he knows what he's doing. I make a motion we approve his apprentice auctioneer's license.
Is there a second? Moved in second that we approve the apprentice auctioneer license. All in favor say aye. Aye.
On tab 8, there is a request for waiver from Mr. Warren. Mr. Warren's license expired April of 2014, and his renewal paperwork in, we received it on the 20th.
When did his license expire?
April of
In April?
2014.
You
Yes,
said
sir.
the lady you spoke with. Realized it was up.
He said, and there was another along with his renewal application. Please find enclosed the renewal fee and late fee for this license. We were not notified or missed the notification in the mail. Mr. Warren's been licensed in the state of Tennessee since 1983.
How long has it been expired?
9 months.
9 months.
Is he active?
Not currently. He was prior.
Well,
to
I
this.
mean, is he actively in the business, or is this something that he just wants to have?
Oh, as I understand, he is the principal auctioneer for this realty and auction company. I don't know how active they are.
Right, that's why I'm asking it. I mean,
I do see that they do have an auction. I looked at their website to gain some
You
contact.
know, a guy that's in the business all day, every day, that's the biggest fear you have is your license lapsing, and you keep up with it yourself.
If we did not waive this Rule 160 and whatever else those numbers are, what would happen?
He will have to reapply for licensure, so he will have to provide us with proof of education. And he's actually already paid the money.
So what happened was that the people here didn't do their job and didn't send him his notice. Is that correct?
That is not correct.
Okay. Did that not what it said? He didn't receive it?
He states that he did not receive it or that it was missed.
Missed is probably the right one.
These renewal notices are automatically generated and automatically mailed out, and we
Little
did not.
card, the
That's,
postcard,
that
right?
was my point.
This is actually a sheet of paper. It's folded and put in the mail. If we receive it back, we will make a note in the system that we received it back, and there's not.
Every once in a while, I'll get in a panic. Just get to thinking about it, and I'll get online and check everybody in my office and firm license. And
Have people call regularly asking.
could you imagine?
We have people send us money.
How much was the penalty?
The penalty, I believe, is $200 plus the licensing fee. It's $425.
Is this something the commission would normally do under all circumstances? Would we always grant this waiver?
It is simply a provision in the rule that you may waive.
I think we've done it in the past.
We've done it in the past, yeah.
I don't believe in my time with the board I've presented one. So
You know, if they had any of course, this cow's done out of the barn now.
That's
if
what
they
I
had
was
any
wondering.
sales during this 9-month period that he's the principal auctioneer for this firm.
I did not see anything on their website that indicated that, but most of the time after a sale takes place, they remove it from the
Or
website.
sometimes they go to past sales or something. They
I
roll
did
over.
speak with
Probably
the gentleman
does
on the
that,
phone,
that's fine.
and I did explain to him, sir, you do need to understand you are not licensed, and you are not, if you conduct a sale, you are conducting a sale in violation of the Tennessee Code and the auctioneer commission. That. He was very apologetic. So, but
He's already paid,
yes, sir.
and but you just didn't issue the license because it'd been so long, and you
I
wanted to
can't
get our
issue
appro-
his
you can't-
license because he'll have to reapply. And all he sent us was a piece of paper stating, here's the renewal fee and the late fee. We missed the notification. That's all he originally sent in. But he does, when I got the information, I looked it up, he has to reapply.
I'm sorry, he has to what?
He'd have to reapply. He'd have to provide us information about his education, so where he went to auction school. Sure.
So just to try to clarify the situation, it says in our rules on 0160-01-.22, a licensee applying to renew a license 6 months or more after the expiration date thereof, but less than 2 years, so between 6 months and 2 years, they shall reapply for licensure and pay a penalty of $200. So the question is here, is in the next subsection, it says, upon written submission of good cause shown, which would be what he put in writing here, the commission may by majority vote waive any or all of the penalties and requirements from what I just read to you, which would be reapplication, including but not limited to reexamination and additional education requirements, or in lieu thereof impose such other reasonable conditions or requirements as it deems appropriate. So technically, according to the rule, he is between 6 months and 2 years, because I think she's
Right. We're in that in-between area, and
has to
that's what we
reapply
typically do.
unless the commission votes to waive.
What we
based
typically
on-
do in that case is we take the penalty, we don't make them reapply, because they're not past the 2-year period of
I tell you
time.
what I'd like to do, if this is possible, and they agree to it, is go ahead and let him pay his fine, and which is and his fee, which apparently he's already done. But let's waive, if we can. You said we could waive any or all of this other. I
Waive the
think he should take the
reapply.
continuing education.
Well, you waive the reapply.
We can waive the reapply, but I think he should have to take the continuing education. 6 hours every 2 years. It ain't gonna hurt nobody.
Right.
On the
Falls under-
grandfather.
He's under the exemption of not having to take CE.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
If we let him get a license back, we don't get him.
Okay.
If he has to reapply and get
I
a
don't
new
know.
license, he's gonna have to take
Bobby, I don't
CE.
know if that's
If
one
we
of our
can do
options.
that. I don't know if we can do that or not. But you see my point. 6 hours every 2 years don't hurt nobody. Does it, Russell?
Generally, we don't make them start over until they've been
Right.
expired for 2 years.
Right.
Well, I think we just need to be consistent. What we've done for one, let's do for the next one.
And that's what I'm saying. That's what we do. We just make them pay the fine and move on.
Okay, don't worry about it.
Right. Well, I move that we, allow the guy to renew, but he pays the late fee, and we can waive the re.
Been moved, is there a second?
Second.
Moved in second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Welcome to get your license, sir.
You got a log review.
Yes, sir. And actually, this was deferred at the last meeting.
Because Howard wanted to see it, and Howard wasn't here.
Yes, sir.
I had it, but it went away.
This is number 9.
This is that log review you wanted to see, Howard.
Okay.
We waived it. We didn't do anything with it, waiting on you to get back.
But we just
Wanted
wanted
to make sure that they were
look at it.
really doing what they said they were doing, and you wanted to look at the log.
Yeah,
see
we
what it
just
looked
kind of
like.
what the logbook looked like. I didn't even know what one of them looked like.
Oh, okay.
It's just a bunch of forms you fill out. My son's going.
Freddie.
These are just sample logs.
Right.
These are just some recent,
That's
little
just
more-
for
a little more
information.
not
We don't have
recent
to
now.
do anything. She just wanted to present this for informational purposes.
it was, Mr. Phillips had requested to see it, and I believe Mr. Colson also expressed interest in seeing them. Always,
Is this a real one, or is this one?
Oh, this is,
these are
Yeah,
real.
these are real
Okay.
logs that were
Different
filed.
ones, Howard.
The different ones.
Well, I know they're different ones, but I didn't know if it was one somebody just made
No,
an
no.
example of.
These are all
Okay.
logs that have been.
this is Freddie. I know him.
Freddie?
Pretty good guy.
Okay, I'm happy.
There was nothing. That's all I have.
That all you have today?
That's all I have today.
Okay, we're going to have a little 2.5 minutes from Ressa.
Hanson.
Come on down.
Well, come up, and hopefully this will not take 2.5 minutes. I'm Ressa Hanson with Nashville Auction School.
I got an email with
Last
it.
week?
Yeah.
You got the notify?
Right.
And it is up on the website. I also want to say on the issue of the referral fees, that was covered.
Right.
We try to stay relevant, and apparently that may have brought some attention.
You might talk about hiding behind the internet only law.
On the as is, I made a note of that. That
might be
as
something.
is a condition statement. It's not a statement of what you're selling.
Exactly.
So I think that we can cover that well in the next newsletter. And as well in the next newsletter, we will have an introduction of Commissioner Lewis. So if you please don't mind spending a few minutes with me after the meeting, so I can get some information from you.
Up close and personal.
Up close and personal. Yeah.
And you're going to be in Memphis.
And we are going to be in Memphis on the 23rd of February.
Right.
At the Esplanade. And we do have, I was telling Kimberly when we were taking a break, we do have we have a facility here in Nashville that we're really excited about. So it will
Well, I invite any of my
Memphis and
commissioners that want
Nashville.
to come down for the seminar. I'll buy them a dinner the night before they want to come down.
Where at?
Wherever you want to eat. Come on down.
That sounds very good. And of course, always commissioners and commission staff are welcome to attend the seminars, and we really like it when you guys come, so you know what we're doing and what we're putting in front of the licensees. So
My office
we
will
look
be
forward
there.
to it. So that's my report, and again, I'm always open to suggestions from the commissioners as far as information that we can. Articles, anything that y'all want included in that?
Well, I think we've got a couple of good items that came up out of the meetings, and I think this is a good fodder for information that we send out, talking about the things that are misconceptions in the auction industry. And you know, you mentioned the referral fees, but you know, the hiding behind the as is and the internet only. I mean, that is such a gray area. I mean, we've got a guy here in Nashville that sells cars because it's internet only, and it doesn't work that way, you know. And it's just anyway.
Not afraid to delve into any of that for you. So that's what we do, and we're having a great time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Y'all doing a good job. Thank you, Ressa. Mr.
Okay.
Chairman, I'd like to bring up one new piece of business.
We're on new business.
You know, being conscious of state budgets and you know, I know we want to stay ahead of the curve on these meetings, but if we don't have a big legal report for February, I'd like to suggest that we not have a February meeting. We go straight to March, depending on what our workload is. You know, I'd rather have more work to do than less work at these meetings, where we can accomplish more and stay focused on it. And if we can take the travel expense and the costs and et cetera that goes along with that. And I don't know if any other commissioners feel that way, but I'm just throwing it out there for discussion.
That was on one of my notes that I lost to bring up. You know, we're required to have 4 meetings a year. Is that true?
It's a quarter.
I just jotted down roughly what the state's it's cost the state for me to come to this meeting today for an hour and a half. It's a little bit over $400. If you multiply that, because Bobby doesn't count, but if you multiply that times, well, you sure
They pay him $49.17. I mean, you know.
But if you multiply that times 4,
Bobby's
that's
making more than all of us.
that's $1,600, and I'd like to go one step further and have our meetings every 3 months, unless there is a load comes up in between. Because I've been on the commission now for it'll go off in August, so a year and a half or more, and we've not had a 2-hour meeting since I've been coming. And it's to me, I like politics, I love it, but I don't like the way it operates. And this is the taxpayer money that we're spending, and y'all are taxpayers. So if we could eliminate some of it and, maybe have an all-day meeting.
If I could clarify, not to argue with
Hey, you won't be the first one to ever argue with me, brother.
the funds that we use to operate this department are not paid by the taxpayers, they're paid by the license.
Self-funded, Howard.
But that was not an argument, that was just a clarification.
Well, I understand that, but let me add to your argument. About 7 years ago, we had $200,000 or $300,000 in our fund, and the state took it. So to me, that went to the taxpayers or something. I was too, but I'll agree with you about that. It is funded, but it's still not.
I think we can look at the calendar, instead of saying once a quarter, we just look at what's the workload going to be at the next meeting and just kind of do it on a case-by-case basis. And
What y'all think about it, Ronnie?
I mean, I would like to see
You got
it
a
go
long
to
drive.
once a quarter, but how do you determine how much you're gonna have
Well,
to do?
I
She
think
will.
actually they do a pretty good job about overall if, there's not nothing going on to saying, let's don't. I don't know there's anything you can set again. So you don't ever know what's going to come up.
Right.
I would be,
If we
Yeah.
don't have something to do.
And then you got people like these people that's want to do these applications or stuff.
yeah,
might
and
put
then
them
now,
off.
you held those up for 90 days.
Yes, if I may, we have 2 performance standards. One is related to our case and complaint report, and one is related to the amount of time it takes us to issue. So, for instance, this meeting required action. It required the commission to approve those 2 applications. It required for that apprentice gentleman to renew his license. Those were 4 matters that only the commission can act on. So, I take
Guidelines to go by.
I
on
take
that,
all
too.
of those things into consideration. We canceled several meetings last year. I would contact chairman to say, Chairman, all we have is 3 complaints. It does not warrant. They will not go over the 180-day performance measure. We're happy to push it off to the next meeting. Yes, I evaluate every single meeting. And 2 of these matters were deferred from last meeting. So these people have been waiting since November
Well,
for our answer.
I agree.
So
I agree with that.
I just don't, I
But-
would be hesitant to set those once.
Anytime,
Every 3
anytime that you want to, you have the authority to have a telephone conference, and we can vote on the phone on 3 little things like this was today.
Absolutely consider having teleconferences, certainly.
Now that would save a lot of time and a lot of money. And it's not that I don't want to be a commissioner. It's not that. It's just that it's a long drive down here, and sleeping over in that old hotel bed by yourself at night.
And you are allowed to let me know if you would prefer to participate telephonically.
Right.
If you choose not to,
Well, personally,
In other
I
words-
would on these 3 things like we had
I mean,
today.
even
What
at
about
our
y'all?
regular meeting, he could be.
So I guess whenever
Absolutely.
you call the
So-
commission, they could, or the chairman about an upcoming meeting, y'all could confer on and decide.
for instance,
That's what
Mr.
I
Colson, if
think.
it's easier for you to come here, you are welcome. Even if the other 4 are participating telephonically, you can come here and be on camera with us.
Whether be here is at my office sometimes.
So yes, all commissioners have that ability. If you have a conflict, because I believe I've presented that to Mr. Collier when he was ill. I believe I presented, if you'd like to participate, you are welcome to. I have several other commissions
And we
that
had a
do
couple
that.
of telephone meetings.
I don't remember that, so I don't.
You were so sick, I don't think you,
I think I was in,
I didn't think I would ever want to see y'all so bad as I did a year ago. So
I think, yes, so anytime any of the commission members would like to participate telephonically, please let me know in advance. There's some things we have to do when we do not have a physical quorum that the attorney has to do, but it is just a minor piece of paperwork. I have one
think-
commission that rarely meets in town because literally they are from polar ends of the state. There's not a single, well, there's now one on the commission that is from Middle Tennessee.
I think you should discuss it with Howard or whoever's chairman. And if you all think, you know, hey, we can push this off till next month, I think that's what it should be.
Just do it on a case-by-case,
Right.
month-by-month basis.
That's what I
Instead
think.
of adopting a quarterly meeting schedule. Yeah.
So we're not having a meeting in February, is that correct?
Well,
We will assess it.
I can assess it and reach out to you and let the commission know. Like to say we're not having a meeting, we can certainly do that. I do not know, I could walk back upstairs and there could be 5
Well,
applications.
I heard there was a Super Bowl but the night before that next meeting.
Watch it in Nashville, man. They got TVs in Nashville.
Huh?
They got
Again, we
TVs
just
in
talked- we
Nashville.
just-
This was somebody from Memphis that said this.
We just discussed the telephonic meeting. You can participate. I believe Mr. Morris participated in one of ours on the road.
Oh, not me. Did I?
I believe so. You were traveling from Florida?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was when everybody was on the phone.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's right, exactly.
We have options, and I'm more than happy. If you ever
Oh,
have a
yeah,
question,
definitely.
please pick up the phone. If I'm not in my office, leave me a message. I'll call you back.
All right, well, let's
Where
just,
does that stand, about the cameras, where is that at now?
we're still
the
monitoring
meeting on the
that.
phone.
We're still monitoring that,
We are?
yeah, from a legal standpoint.
The teleconference that we had about the cameras in the bathroom.
teleconference,
Yeah.
it is still pending.
Yeah.
It remains in litigation monitoring. We're checking with the gentleman's attorney. And
Okay,
it will
well, I have
eventually- it will eventually
one more
come-
thing, then we can go home, okay?
You have to have a motion for the meeting
No,
time.
no.
Okay.
We're not ready to have a motion. to
Move
end it
on,
yet.
Mr.
I'm
Chairman.
still going, brother.
Come on, bring it on.
Okay, I have a gripe or a complaint or something. We have people that do auctions without a license and they conduct sales and they sell other people's goods and we fine them $1,000. Now this particular one is the one that, come on in. We're friendly as we can be.
I was looking for cosmetology.
You go out and do an auction, and you may make these big shots here. They may make $70,000 or $80,000 doing an auction, and you fine them $1,000. They pop up and
We're
have.
limited by statute, Howard.
Huh?
We're limited by statute.
We need to change the statute.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Well, they've been changed before. But why would, I mean, you can find more than $1,000. Why do you have a guy that did an auction that's never had an auctioneer license, and he talked these two ladies into selling their stuff, and they were, I don't want to get myself in hot water, but
You getting that way?
I'm to get there, aren't I? Anyway, let's suppose that you go out here and sell these ladies estate, everything that they had in the world that their parents had left them. And lo and behold, you get caught, which is one probably in 1,000 that does, and then you get brought before the Auctioneer Commission and you get fined $1,000. I think that is something that the governor, the attorney general, or somebody needs to look at, because, and we have people coming out of state. We had one up in Morristown I think it's a couple years ago. This company out of New York had, seemed like it was like 400 acres of lake property. They had no Tennessee auction license. And if that would have been one of those sales that I'm talking about, you make $150,000, or they would. But fortunately, it got stopped. But if it hadn't, then we get word of it, we fine them $1,000 for conducting an auction without a license. So what can we do?
I knew it was coming over on me.
Yeah.
I think you're the brains of this family.
It was like
Well, I
crickets
mean,
and-
we are limited by statute on what we can find.
Yeah, the limitation is on the statute of per activity per day, but I think no, I absolutely do, and I'm trying to make sure that I word my idea so that it's not misconstrued as this is exactly what we need to do, but the statute says per activity per day, and I know some places have. So some boards and commissions have interpreted that to be per item. Like in when I regulated motor vehicle dealers for 5 years. So if somebody they were an unlicensed motor vehicle dealership, for a week, well, we're opening, our license is pending, but we got to open. I mean, this is the weekend. You got to do it on Memorial Day. Then we'd say, well, how many sales you do? Well, 50. Well, Motor V has $5,000 per vehicle, but even if it was 1,000, we'd say, well, that's 50 violations. Say like in this case, it'd be $50,000 because statute clearly said per day or per activity. So what you'd really look at is to say, well, you had an auction for one day, but how many items did you auction off? Well, we auctioned off 200 items. Well,
That's an interesting way to approach it.
I mean,
I like that.
Is that you look at it from this point, is that when the auctioneer stood up there, every item was a separate activity.
Right,
This
separate
item,
auction.
that
Right.
item, that item. So we've looked at that before. Now, where that kind of got out of hand sometimes is where, we've have some like Motor Vehicle Commission would tend to do this sometimes is, oh, well, that's $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 civil penalty.
That you're never going to get.
Well, if I give somebody a $70,000 civil penalty for one day of activity, when I send a consent order out, I'm going to get a call from an attorney who's going to call laughing, saying, he just paid me $10,000 to call you on the phone. And that's what happens is It becomes an economic incentive for them not to settle at that point in time because they think they can get it lower at any point in time. But I understand completely what you're saying. I think you could do that. Now, in the case of selling one piece of property, that's difficult. If it's like one piece of property and it was a really big sale, and it was just that one piece of property, that would be a little bit more difficult. But if there were several pieces on the property, then I think you could get there. The better way to do that is, if that's the way you wanted to go, is to really create a rule that would say, civil penalties. You probably have a rule that talks about civil penalties, the maximum amount, and you could put in there that each item sold constitute a separate activity. Or excuse me, each item auctioned constitutes a separate activity, so that you could clarify.
Well, or every piece of advertising is an activity against that sale.
Would that have to be a rule, or could that be a policy?
Well, I would say it would have to be a rule, because policies are generally internal workings of how we do things. If you want, if you want Kimberly to approve certain applications, that's a policy. But if it's going to make it a violation, clarify a violation, it's better in the rules so that people can see that and say,
Published. Yeah.
Right. And we have ways of doing the rules like that wouldn't take it very long if that's something that you all wanted to.
I'd like to work on that.
I think in the meantime, we could still make that the way that we look at violations, but the only caution I would have is that if you're going to kind of change the way we do civil penalties or the amounts, that we do it, in a manner that
Don't get crazy about it.
that's kind of what I want to say, is not that you get all out of hand, because then that throws up arms in our office upstairs and our supervisors, and they kind of want to. But yes, I think you can interpret it that way, because many programs have interpreted that way, that each sale is.
And like in this case where we had this one where we wanted to get a little bit creative, we did 6 to 8.
I think those rules are put in place because one of the factors, the statutory factors that we looked at, that you look at, it's enumerated, specifically says for civil penalties. In Tennessee, if you're conducting illegal activity, then you can't profit from that illegal activity. Or you shouldn't be able to profit from it. And in the case where you have, you know, unlicensed auctions from out of state coming into Tennessee, it's actually a Class E felony to impersonate a licensed professional. So what we do many times is in a scenario where, you know, even if it's just the cost of doing business to them, and they're just going to continue doing it, and they're holding themselves out. They came from another state and said they were licensed, and they threw out a license from another state, then we basically just write a 2-page brief to the district attorney up in that state. We do that, but we don't usually get a good return on that, because district attorney, I don't have to deal with that kind of stuff. But it is a Class C felony, and we've worked with district attorneys before, and we've had some success, and us to help them by writing these type of briefs because their constituents were complaining or whatnot.
Well, especially now with all the internet advertising auctions going on there.
It's all the way from what Howard was talking about to somebody coming in state and having a big sale where they're making a big chunk of money and they just write it off as a part of doing business, all the way down to an auction barn selling $1,500 worth of stuff on Friday night. And then the internet, like you said, has really kicked it in high gear.
I think you just reminded me of when it got out of hand was that I've seen it where if somebody fails to renew, we had like a fail to renew on here. He had 4 days or however many days. With that new idea of civil penalties, you could go back and say, well, did you auction off, you know, 200 items? We could make that $200,000. But that would basically put somebody out of business. I mean, it really pretty much would, or we wouldn't settle it. We'd go to a formal hearing. And the worst case scenario that I've seen is that when boards and commissions say, well, it's a $50,000 civil penalty, they authorize it for a formal hearing. And it may not be on this type of board, but, and then it goes before an administrative judge. And then the judge says, right, and the judge says, you know, it's going to be like $2,000, and we could have settled that the whole time.
Right, right.
Spend more than $2,000. Many times we spend more money to litigate it than it is actually get back.
Well, you know, and the word travels throughout the state. Right now, the Auctioneer Commission, you can have an auction without a license, and they're going to fine you $1,000. You know, so is it worth going to school doing all this stuff for $1,000 when you can keep getting by with it? And our rule or our law is not stiff enough, and I would like for you and the gentlelady to see if we can come up with something to put some meat on it.
I think we can, and I think in that scenario you could have it so that if the civil penalties are from $0 to $1,000 per activity, you could pick a number in the middle. If it's 200 items, it kind of looks like $20,000, you know, civil penalty, and you could find a way to get there by dollars per item times how many items. But I want you to feel that you have, you know, I want the commission to feel that, yes, the civil penalties are there to deter the action so that it stops.
Right.
It's not there just to make it painful. It's supposed to be stop. And so long as we can get them to.
Speaking of the Attorney General's office, how are we doing on our rules?
As I know, they're there. We're just waiting. Right.
And then when they go through there, then we'll file them at the Secretary of State's office, and then.
Will you notify us when that happens? Will they notify us? I mean, on when it gets out of the
When they're
Attorney
finally
General's office.
effective.
Good or bad? I'd like to know.
It'll be good, but yes.
Yes, I can let the commission know as well as if you are all signed up for Notify, you will get an email just like Mr. Morris got an email for the newsletter.
Right.
Also,
I signed up for that, but I need to maybe re-sign.
Check your spam too. It might
There you go. That's where, I bet you that's where it's going.
possibly. And I can certainly forward. But yes, that is another way we will notify everyone. That's one reason we're pushing in the newsletter, at the seminar.
That you sent me for the convention. Notify thing that you were
Wonderful.
talking about, whether anybody signed up for it or not, I don't know. All of the information that, it was the kind of stuff that they always ask that I never know, about how many licensees we have versus the last 2 or 3 years and all that. That was good. I appreciate it.
Anybody else have anything?
Like when you send the notices out, sometimes I get it, sometimes I don't, because I have a bad internet connection.
For the notify or for the meetings?
The
or
meetings or anything.
Okay.
We started out, I was getting like a notice through the mail, but I don't get it anymore.
About the meetings?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think Susan was doing that. I can certainly send you.
My internet is bad. Sometimes I get yours, sometimes I don't.
Okay. I can call you, I can email you, text you, whatever means you prefer me to communicate, you just let me know and I will.
Text me or something.
Okay.
That's what I was big saying.
We
They
had-
sell some property up there, put some cell towers on where they can reach them
Be like Harry Potter and send him an
bounce
owl.
off of and stuff.
We have to put bloomers on the chickens.
Any way that is most convenient to the commission members.
We have pigeons upstairs.
Mr.
There you go.
Mr. Phillips, I call. Mr. Colson, I can email. Just click on the email.
You do good.
Anyone's personal preference.
I need to
Please
check
let me
it.
know. I'm
Those,
happy to.
notify deal.
Yes, sir.
How will that be? Who will it come from?
It come from?
I mean, like the state of Tennessee, or
Yes, it's kind of a generic no reply email. I can show you what one looks like.
yeah, I'd like to look at it because
Okay.
I'll go through my spam box and find one and then mark
Yeah.
it not spam, and then I'll start getting them because I bet you that's what's happening.
Yes,
Because I signed up for it a long time ago.
Yes, it's no reply at something something something. It's very generic.
You get more junk. I thought getting junk mail was bad.
Well, I enjoyed the meeting today, and if nobody else has anything to say,
We're adjourned.
we're adjourned.
I move with it.
If you don't, Bobby will be talking all day.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.